Actually, let's get to some news.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Josh Furlong, our friend of the show.
Ja Furlong.
Ja Furlong. He has just tweeted, Utah tight end Cole Fotheringham was just named to the John Mackey Award preseason watch list today.
Good.
That award is annually given to the most outstanding tight end in the country. So that's good.
As he should.
He should have been on that list.
Yep.
Listen. Zach Moss wasn't on the Doak Walker list. So it's okay that these guys are starting to come around.
Yes. Yes, for sure. And you're going to see some more of these awards coming out over the next week or so. I think they still have the Bednarik award coming out. They've still got the Nagurski award to announce as well. So they've still got some awards. And that's a good sign. If you're a Utah fan looking for a tight end to break out, the fact that they're willing to put Cole Fotheringham on there means that they think big things for him this season.
Yeah, and I expect big things from him as well.
Yeah. When you look at what Andy Ludwig did at Vanderbilt with Jared Pinkney, I think he totaled 750 yards. I mean, I don't know that Cole will hit 750, but he's going to put up some numbers.
If you wanted to just stoke a fire and walk away and watch it burn, we could just say Cole Fotheringham is the best tight end in the state.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. Ooh, you can hear the shouts and the screams from down south. You can hear them.
Listen, I apologize. This is not good, Tony. Here,
it's a touchy subject, the tight end position. Okay,
that's just honesty, Tony.
Yeah, I mean it's true, right? Matt Bushman is a good tight end. Based on what he's accomplished so far, he's the best in the state.
Very good. He's
but
the best.
I'm taking Cole.
He's the best tight end in the state. I'm just saying, if I just wanted to walk away and watch carnage, I would just say, hey, we're talking to Cole Fotheringham, the best tight end in the state of Utah.
Absolutely. He's a hell of a surfer too. Let me say that. He can surf, bro. He's impressive.
Surfing is not something that I would ever do.
You should try it.
No, I shouldn't.
Take the girls and the wife to Hawaii.
Dog, I went to Lava Hot Springs, and I almost got swept away by that shallow water.
Okay, all right, I take it back. I take it back.
Kelsey had to come out and save me. I lost both of my flip-flops. I went home barefoot.
Oh, no.
Okay?
Oh, man.
It was.
You and water obviously are just sworn enemies.
Well, not in the shower.
Okay, all right, yeah.
The pool. It's my friend.
The swimming pools.
No, Lava Hot Springs where the river can take you away.
Yeah.
Okay, this is getting weird.
Anyways, let's get back to some tweets here that were coming in. D Spizzy tweeted in, he's got his MVP as Zach Moss. The Offensive Player of the Year is Tyler Huntley. Defensive Player of the Year is Bradley and I. Most Improved is Solomon Enos. So Brian Thompson,
Solomon Enos is a good.
Yeah, he's got the potential for sure. 6'4", 205.
If he could ever get to where his father was,
that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And then his Coach of the Year is Andy Ludwig. One last one here. The big CA Ute MVP is Moss. Player of the Year is Huntley and Johnson. Most Improved is Josh Nurse. Ooh, all right, okay. And then Coach of the Year is Coach Harding. So not bad. Not too shabby. Quick leaderboard update with the Open Championship. I want to make sure we mention this.
Tigers not winning.
Not winning. In fact, he's going home. He's already got he's on the plane. He's headed back home. Brooks Koepka finished the round at 5 under. He is tied for 8th. We've got J.B. Holmes in the lead at 8 under. Tommy Fleetwood at 7 under. Justin Rose at 6 under. So, and the local product, Tony Finau, we got to make sure we mention him, coming in at 4 under. So he's within striking distance as well. So there's your update on the leaderboard. Tony, I wanted to ask you, we've talked a lot about the players and who we think are going to win awards. But when we look at this Utah football schedule, there are 2 games that obviously stand out above the rest with Washington and USC. When I ask you, what are the most important games for Utah to avoid a hiccup or to ensure that they win? Is it one of those 2?
Do you have to put It's funny because I look at the schedule and I actually think that they're like 4. I mean,
Okay.
So obviously at BYU,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the season opener. That's your rivalry. That's your rival. Anything can happen in a rivalry game.
Yeah.
Last year, BYU came out and kicked the pants off of Utah for 3 quarters. And then they got tired and they ran out of depth.
They were up 20 with about 16 minutes left in the game.
Yeah. And it's just, I don't expect the Utes to be as unfocused as they were through the first 3 quarters of that last game, because that last year that game could not have come at a worse time for the Utes.
Yeah.
Because it came in between the end of the regular season and the Pac-12 title game, and the Utes clearly just weren't there mentally in that first half. But that's a game that I look at USC. It is a game that I look at because, while the Utes should win, like I feel that they're the better team. USC's talent will always give them a puncher's chance.
Absolutely.
Always.
Yeah.
And then I look at, the next week, Washington State at home.
Yeah, after listening to Max Brown talk about the quarterback there, Gage Gabrud coming in.
Mike Leach is always going to find a quarterback.
Absolutely.
Always.
Yeah.
He's always going to find a guy with arm strength and accuracy. And, he's always going to find a guy that can sling it. And he's always got wide receivers. He's always got a big, strong offensive line. And that system is so unique that they could be trash.
Yeah.
They like the talent, the actual talent could be trash, and they could stay in games because of that system. So I look at that game as well.
And they return a number of starters and guys that produced on last year's team on both offense and defense. So they've got some weapons for sure.
And remember what happened the last time Washington State came to
no. Well, no.
I'm just saying.
No. Let's not do that.
Last time they came in to
hey,
Rice
whoa,
Eccles.
Tony, no. We're on the home of the Utes. Let's not do that to them. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So we're not. Okay.
Whoa.
Well, let's move on.
Yeah. Let's keep it moving.
At home against California.
That is
that's a trap game.
That is absolutely, because you got Washington the very next week.
You got Washington the very next week.
It's going to be an ugly slobber knocker of a game against Cal.
And Cal is not terrible anymore.
Yeah,
they're not terrible. They're a bowl team. It's a bowl team.
It was an ugly bowl game.
Ugly bowl game, but that is a 7-5 team right there.
Okay, that's fair, and they'll be in games. Like it'll be difficult for sure.
Yes,
and like this is exactly your point though, is to not overlook them. And here I am, like they're just not that good. Like it's a game you shouldn't overlook, but I mean they're just not that. Like that's exactly the issue, right? But they play tremendous defense.
Right. They play tremendous defense. But, here's the thing. Their kind of style, their style of play is right. I mean, it's the reason why the Utes are always good against Stanford, right? Because it's the same, 3 yards in a cloud of dust on offense, not a real high tempo. And it's the same reason. The Utes, you don't out-Ute the Utes.
No. Yeah. Like Stanford tried to play that game and Utah's pretty much owned that matchup.
And that's, when the Utes first started out, 2012, 2013, 2014, pretty much their only position group that was Pac-12 caliber was the defensive line. Now they've added, the speed on the edges. They've added, the Jalen Johnsons and the Julian Blackmans of the world and all that stuff. So now they're much better equipped to play against the Washington States of the world than they used to be. But they have always had that base where, okay, if you want to get it, you want to take a game into the trenches, we're ready to go with you.
Yeah, we'll swing.
So that, to me, that style of play matches up with what Cal does. So, it on paper, you look at it, it's like, okay, it might be a trap game, but when you actually get to the game, the Utes might win by 3 touchdowns because that's just what they do.
And it's so unique, right? Because obviously you can make the case that, yes, this is an absolute trap game. Looking forward ahead to the next week against Washington in Seattle, a big matchup for the Utes in looking for payback against the team that beat them twice last year.
Right, right.
You know, there's so much to draw from that. But Cal is a team that will make it difficult, and they can stay in games because of how good they are on defense now under Justin Wilcox. But as you mentioned, Kyle Whittingham, this is what his program is about toughness and just beating the crap out of you, basically.
Right.
You know,
right.
And that's what they're built on. And if you want to swing with them, they'll swing right back, and you know, they can swing some haymakers for sure.
Well, styles make the fights. And you know, and that's why I look at that Cal game and I'm like, okay, you know, on paper, okay, it's a dangerous game, but you get to the game, I think that you should be fine if they play to their capability. But then obviously the big game at Washington, Saturday, November 2nd. That's got College Game Day written all over it.
For sure. Washington's schedule is much easier this season, despite the fact that they lose a lot of talent and a lot of starters to the NFL.
Yeah.
They have a much easier schedule. It's very likely that they have a really, really nice record come this time. And Utah, same kind of thing. They do return plenty of talent, and their schedule, while we're kind of breaking it down here, it's still pretty favorable for them.
It's favorable because you miss Stanford and you miss Oregon. But, you know, the two toughest games that they have on paper or on the road.
Yeah.
The two most talented teams that you play, that the Utes will play, are USC and Washington. And both of those are away from Rice-Eccles Stadium. So, you know, even though you miss Oregon and you miss Stanford, you got to get those two on the road. And if JT Daniels takes any kind of lead, USC is just going to be dangerous, especially on a short week.
Oh, for sure.
But then again, it's a short week, but that short week is Idaho State.
Coming off of a Idaho State game, yeah.
So you can be pretty vanilla against Idaho State. You can be pretty vanilla against Idaho State. You can
get your second guys,
get your second and third unit guys, and playing. You know, get the ones out as soon as possible.
Absolutely, it's going to be interesting. And you know, I'm probably more high on UCLA than most, but I think that with Chip Kelly, he's got his system entrenched now in the program and kind of what they expect. They've got a lot of guys that probably are better suited for his scheme and what he likes to do on both sides of the ball. And you brought him up with Max Brown. Dorian Thompson-Robinson is a tremendously talented quarterback. Same thing with JT Daniels. If DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, makes any sort of leap as a quarterback, they've got a good running game. They've got a good offensive line that returns I think it's 4 starters from last year's offensive line.
But there's one reason why I don't worry about that UCLA game. What's the reason?
It's at home.
No, what's the reason? What's the other reason?
Utah's better. Kyle Whittingham, Tyler Huntley, Zach Moss, Lucky Fotu.
None of those are the reasons.
Tell me.
The reason is this coming off a bye week.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. And
you got 2 weeks between Washington and UCLA in November when bye weeks actually matter. Bye weeks don't matter in September as much. Everybody's still relatively fresh. In November, UCLA is going to come into Rice-Eccles on November 16th, and they are going to be beaten up. They're going to be tired, and the Utes are going to be fresh, and they will have had 2 weeks to prepare for DTR and Chip Kelly. And I think if you give the Utes that kind of time,
there you go,
that kind of preparation, that kind of film study, they're going to be fine.
Kyle Whittingham has a tremendous record coming off bye weeks, too,
yes.
I believe. I don't know the exact number. I'm sure I can look it up. But
he is a good bye week coach.
Yes. We'll just say that.